Yo, what is up, Breaker Nation? It is your boy Low. I am back, episode 35. I know I missed last week. I'm sorry. I was going through some stuff, but I missed you guys. I love doing this stuff, and I'm glad to be back for this week. So, before I get into the good stuff, I got to talk about the real good stuff. The USFL Discord. Listen, if you're not in there, get in there. The link, it's all over the network. You can find the link, you can get in there and it's fun. A lot of content. We do AMAs. We did an AMA, which, if you don't know what that is, it's kind of just like a live interview, and fans can ask questions and whatnot. We did one with Kyle Sloter, and it was amazing. Fans got to ask questions. I mean, you guys are missing out on good stuff. So please get in there and make sure you follow me on social media. Uh, on Twitter, you can find me at USFL underscore LEAUX. Also, make sure you're following the Useful Network. We've always got news coming. We've got even more news coming. I know how much you guys love news. Find me on Instagram at breakersnation.insider. With all that out of the way, I mean, let's get straight into it.
Cuts it back, 5, touchdown Breakers.
Okay, so recently we saw the first trade in the history of the new USFL. Let's call it that. Our USFL. And it kind of got me thinking, like, man, if trades are a thing, like, who are some guys that maybe we should look at, look at getting. Here you go. So I thought about making trades where we sent, like, trade scenarios and having who we would send back, but I figured I would just kind of give you the players and you can create those trade packages in your head. So I'll start off. I have 10. Just want to clarify that first and foremost. I have 10 players on this list, 7 of which are from northern teams, and 3 are from our rivals. So I will start with the northern teams first. So um, DeAndre Overton is a wide receiver on the Philadelphia Stars. He's kind of a little bit buried on their depth chart, not completely, but he's not one of their feature receivers. And he's a big. I mean, I think he's 6'5". I mean, he's big. Okay, really big. He has good hands. He runs pretty good routes. And I know we signed Eli Stove recently, but I don't see Eli as your traditional Jay Adams outside big physical wide receiver. He's a little bit different. And Overton would kind of be the guy across from Jay Adams, the other big physical wide receiver. So I think that would be cool. And plus, it's good to have wide receiver depth. So, um, a second guy, and by the way, these aren't in any particular order. Okay, I just put them all just as I was listing them, so they aren't in any order of want or need or anything like that. Number 2, I have Vidal Alexander, tackle for the Maulers. He's firstly, he's an LSU guy, which I love, but he's also from New Orleans, which is pretty cool. I'm sure he would love to represent, his city, his hometown in the USFL. And not only that, I just think it's always good to have lineman depth. Always, always, always. Because, linemen, they're tough dudes. I mean, they're hitting other grown men for 60 minutes. I mean, injuries add up, guys get banged up, and it's always good to have depth. And, competition is good as well. I mean, a guy like that could maybe step in and start for us. So it's always good to have that depth. And speaking of depth, another guy I have, excuse me, on here is David Rivers. He's a cornerback on the Generals. We lost Ike Brown. You guys know that. He was a superstar for us, and losing a player like that sucks. So making sure we get some DB depth would be great. And I know that, we signed Darian Slade, but he's more of a safety type. So to get a true corner would be nice. And honestly, and I'm not saying a guy or any of these guys would start, but specifically for this one, you know, corners get a lot of little knick-knack injuries. And when you're having to basically cover another human being who's running full speed, it's those little knick-knack injuries can cause guys to miss games. And we saw our DBs miss some games. So having as many corners as possible is really key, in my opinion, for a roster, which is why I have another one, Joe Putu, Putu, Putu. Hope I'm saying that right. Cornerback, obviously, for the Michigan Panthers. He's kind of lower on their depth chart as well. But again, can never have too many DBs. I think it's really important to make sure that, when one goes down or even two go down, you've got bodies. So moving forward, another general, Wes Saxton. So obviously, you guys know that we lost Sal Cannella to the Packers. We don't know for sure if he will be back. I'm not going to speculate. I don't know personally. But we also had Justin Johnson retire, who was, you know, kind of our backup tight end, sort of. It was between he and EJ Bibbs. They would kind of both be backup at certain points of the season. But regardless, you're down to one tight end. So you need tight end help pretty badly. And Saxton doesn't get as much, run in New Jersey. So, it'd be nice to have another tight end body. Now, these last two Southern players, or Northern Conference players, um, I think, I don't know, I kind of like having both of them on here. So I have Chase Forcade, who is on the Maulers, of course, and you know he played at Nichols State. I mean that the Maulers quarterback room is crowded. It's very crowded. There's four guys in there, and I mean, look, we don't know if Kyle Sloter's going to be back, and even if he does come back, he's had some injury issues, right? I mean, we all know, okay. And by the way, I'd love to have Kyle back, and I hope if he does come back, I hope he plays all 10 games, wins MVP, and takes us to the promised land because I think he can do it. I think he's talented enough to do it. But um, it's nice if you can bring in another guy and have a young quarterback ready to go, right? Just in case Kyle doesn't come back or has some injury problems again. Um, and there's uncertainty on whether Shea Patterson will be back, which I don't know for sure if he will or will not. There's just some stuff floating around. I'm not going to speculate. I'm just saying. So it'd be nice to bring in a quarterback who is from Louisiana. I love those Louisiana kids. He was high school teammates with Jamar Chase, if that tells you anything. So clearly the guy can ball. And my last Northern Conference player is a guy that is in Michigan, and a lot of Panther fans are really, really high on. I mean, they're really high on this guy for their future. Uh, Eric Barriere. It's either Barriere, something of that nature. I'm probably butchering it, but whatever. EB, I'll just call him EB because I don't want to butcher the man's name. Uh, Dude's super talented, and it's the same thing I just kind of said, with the injury questions or just the questions of Slaughter being back in general. So bringing in a young, mobile, very talented quarterback who's, I mean, they really like Paxton up there in Michigan, Paxton Lynch, and they really like Josh Love. So EB is kind of third right now, and he could come be our second possibly. And if Soder decided, hey, I don't want to come back, then I mean that guy could be competing for our starting job. and he's super talented. Okay, and I really love mobile quarterbacks in leagues like this. So, um, moving on. Now we are going to move on to the Southern players. There's three of them. I picked one. I picked a player from each team, regardless. Each other, seven teams. Some of them I picked a couple, of course, but I picked one player per team from the South. So from Birmingham, I had Lorenzo Burns. He's a linebacker, and I know that Scooby Wright's going to go have his WWE tryout, and there's uncertainty on whether he will be back or DeMarcus Gates will be back. So Lorenzo might end up playing, but there was he's kind of buried on their depth chart at linebacker, um, and we only have about three linebackers right now, and Christian Sam could be back for us, but we don't know. Excuse me. So it'd be nice to have a little bit more depth there, just in case. Uh, at I guess ninth player. So we got two more. From Tampa Bay, I have Matt Burrell. So I scouted Matt Burrell December of 2021, I think it was, going into the USFL draft, and he was kind of a trying to think of what they call it for linemen. He was just kind of like the sixth man, for Tampa when it came to the interior. I guess you would call it the fourth guy, whatever you want to call that. He would come in and get run at backup center sometimes, or just guard in general. And he's good friends with Jared Thomas, so that would help ease him into our roster, of course, and things like that. And just he's a guy that if Jared ever has to miss a game or something like that, or come out for a play, that's a guy that could step in and perform. And it's also if he ever has to step in at guard either side, he's stepping in next to Jared Thomas, and those are two friends, so they're going to have some type of chemistry, and that's really important for offensive linemen. It's chemistry. It's really, really important. Um, so it'd be nice to have a little bit more depth on the interior, and bring in a guy who's familiar with our all USFL center. Uh, and lastly, Ace. As you guys know, Ace is our gamblers guy in the network. I don't think he'll be a big fan of this one, but so Taylor Bertolet obviously had gotten signed to the Panthers practice squad, and then was released, and then recently picked up by the Chargers. He played in a game. We had him on for an AMA, by the way. So, if you missed that, get in that Discord. But so as of right now, we do need a kicker, and I know that Matt White is pretty close with Nick Vogel, and they really would have liked to work together in the USFL. So a trade like this could make that happen. And he's a really good kicker. I mean, he is a really good kicker. He did really well for Houston, and it'd be nice to have another reliable guy because, I mean, Taylor Bertolet was really reliable for us for, pretty much most of the season. So to get another reliable kicker would be great. It would be great. Because as a Vikings fan, I can tell you that shaky kicking can cost you big games. Can cost you big games. But so that was 10 players that the Breakers could trade for. If you've got some, let me know. Like I said, follow me on Twitter at USFL_Leaux. I mean, hit me up. Let me know. Who do you guys think that we could trade for? Also, if this is on Facebook, let me know on Facebook. Let me know on Instagram. But other than that, that's pretty much all I have for you guys this week. Make sure you follow me, and I hope you guys have a great week, great weekend. Until next time, It's your boy Low. I'm signing off. Peace.